Good afternoon. Welcome in to Where the 99 Lead. It's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, where we talk all things University of Pikeville, athletically and academically. I'm Andrew Joyce, joined today by special guest Amanda Runyon, instructor of developmental English and the academic team coach at the University of Pikeville. Amanda, welcome in.
Thank you.
We talk a lot of athletics around the University of Pikeville. It's something I'm very familiar with, the history and things. I think this is the first academic team coach I'll ever get to talk with, and I hope it's not the last time because I know it's a challenging job. Before we talk about that or your role in the English department, let's find out who Amanda Runyon is. Let's find out where you come from, where you went to school, your secondary education, and how you arrived at the University of Pikeville.
Well, I'm actually from Draffin, Kentucky, which is a little tiny holler near Elkhorn City. And I'm an alum of Parkville College. I graduated in 2006. Directly after graduation, I started working there as an assistant in the admissions department while I pursued a master's degree at Morehead State University.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed there for about a year. And after a short break from the Hill, I came back as the assistant dean for admissions. And then I played a role as the associate registrar. And now I am the instructor of developmental English for our developmental education department. This is my first full academic year.
So a student out of high school.
Yes.
And landed at then Pikeville College. Loved the place, didn't want to leave, stuck around and worked there, and now teaching at the University of Pikeville. When you entered Pikeville College as a freshman, did you have any idea or dream to be a professor, an instructor at the university?
Well, it's actually funny because if you look back at my senior yearbook, the goals that I set, you
Yes.
set goals in your senior
Sure.
yearbook. The goals that I set was 1, to get a degree in English, 2, to teach college level English,
Wow.
and 3, to open a bookstore. So this many years later, I have accomplished 2 of those. So
And the
the
bookstore
bookstore may
coming
be just
soon?
around the corner. You never
Okay.
know. So.
I like that. I like that. You're the University of Pikeville's academic team coach. We talk about UPike's athletics teams. Kelly Wells has his own show. Dudley Hilton has his own show. I think it might be time for an academic team coach's own show.
I think so.
Let's talk about how they prepare for competition, who their competitors are. Let's talk about the academic team in that context.
Well, our academic team is a part of the Kentucky Collegiate Quick Recall League, which is made up of teams all across the state. We compete in 2 different divisions. Our Division II team is made up of freshmen and sophomores, and our Division I team is for juniors and seniors. And so when we compete in tournaments which are hosted at various schools around the state.
Sure.
And there's usually 6 or 7 teams with both of those divisions in the tournaments. We compete against the University of Louisville. We compete against Eastern Kentucky University, Murray State, and our Division II team competes against Big Sandy and Jefferson Community College. So it's
Sure.
it's a huge playing field, and it's very stiff competition. So which makes me even prouder to say that we've brought home trophies from every tournament this season. So
Very good.
yeah.
We talk to the coaches in various sports about recruiting, how they find the best athletes in their respective sports. I would imagine recruiting students for an academic team is a little different. How do you go about that process?
Recruiting for the academic team can actually be really tricky because you're not looking for one special skill.
Sure.
You're not looking for the fastest or the most athletic. You're looking for someone who can multitask, really, because these students are competing in a quiz bowl type situation where they can be asked questions from any field.
Yes.
So, of course, you want to find students who are strong in math or strong in literature or strong in science, but at the same time, a percentage of the questions they ask at every tournament are pop culture questions and general knowledge questions. So we typically look for enthusiastic students who have that desire to learn across the board, who are comfortable with studying things outside of their decided field and not necessarily staying in one little notch. And we've hosted this tournament for the past 3 years where we partner with Unite Pike to host a Too Smart for Drugs academic team tournament for the
Yes.
schools in Pike County. And we meet a lot of our future players there
Sure.
because all of the high schools from around the county will come in, and we have a tournament there for them to compete with each other. But then we also will have maybe the winner of their quick recall play our team, and they get to see a little bit what it's like on our
Sure.
side. So we do a lot of recruiting there.
And you make your recruiting pitch at that tournament to prospective students
Absolutely.
at that time. Finding the best of the best. It's very similar to athletic recruiting.
It is, and this year, actually for the past 2 years, we've been able to offer scholarship for participation on the academic team, which has made a big difference.
Absolutely.
And so you get that same feel. You get students who are dedicated to their education and want to find ways to pay for that, and so they get this payoff that way too. So it's really great.
Some of the students that you have that are part of the academic team, have they come from local high schools? Because as we've followed academic teams through the years on the high school level, they've had a lot of success statewide.
Oh, yes. We have several students on the academic team come from local schools. And we have some even international students who come over and have never done Quiz Bowl before, but
Sure.
love the environment and bring something else to the table. So we really have a mixed bag when it comes to the team, and it's a great combination.
We talked to athletic coaches about recruiting. We've talked about academic team recruiting. Athletic coaches prepare their teams. They start in the middle of summer with 2-a-day practices. Basketball coaches maybe with 6 a.m. workouts. How do you prepare an academic team for competition?
Well, it's similar. You practice, and again, you never know when you get into an academic team tournament what type of question you're going to be asked.
Sure.
So there's no one way to prepare, and
You
so,
can never scout the opponent.
Exactly. So we have a collection of old questions that students will scour over and practice with. We actually hold mock tournaments for our practice sessions, so the students get these random questions thrown at them, and it's a matter of being quick and being able to pull from a resource base that they really get on their own. These students are preparing fundamental lists that they study, and it's really great because we'll prepare these lists, and let's say I prepare a list of 19th century authors, and I'll give it to my strongest math student so that they will have some other resource to pull from.
Sure.
And so it's really just a matter of the more you do it, the more you learn. And of course they have to keep up in their major and their coursework so that can help them with that field, but it's across the board.
We're talking with Amanda Runyon, the instructor of developmental English and academic team coach at the University of Pikeville. There's a popular game show out there. Jeff Foxworthy's the host, and I think it's called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? So I would imagine the questions that the academic team practices with and faces in competition a little tougher than those questions there.
Get a little tougher, absolutely. You're welcome to come out to our practice and go head to head with some of our students if you'd like.
I struggle with third grade math on that show. I don't think I would have much luck with yours. Amanda, let's talk about the teams you compete against again, the type of teams. The Division I teams compete against the universities across the state.
Yes, we actually compete with University of Louisville and EKU, and Ohio University Southern is part of our league as well because they're close enough in-state. The Division I team always has stiff competition. It's juniors and seniors.
Yes.
And that's an ever-changing status with students. You'll graduate some of your students, and then you move your stronger Division II students up. So that Division I team has a little bit more experience and they're a little tougher. So
Sure.
It's pretty stiff competition.
How many competitions typically during a school year?
Typically 6. We have a rule in the league that every school that's involved in the league has to host every 4 years. So this coming fall we'll be hosting again at the University of Pikeville, but then we'll also travel to University of Cumberland's and to U of L. And we're actually having one in Henderson this year, which is quite a trip for us to take.
Sure.
But that'll be fun.
I want to know when the meet takes place on campus this year. I want to be able to give folks a heads up for that. Open to the public?
Absolutely. And we're always looking for volunteers to come in and read questions or keep score or keep time.
Sure.
So, yeah, we'll let you know.
The crowds for an academic meet, are they like a golf gallery? Do you have quiet please signs and
Maybe we should, but no. The matches all take place in classrooms. You'll have maybe 2 or 3 matches going on at a
Sure.
time, so the crowd's not usually too big in either room. But
Maybe we should change the atmosphere this year.
maybe
Let's have an academic match, U-Pike style.
let's do it.
Let's put it on a big stage, lights, confetti. Let's add to the atmosphere.
Well, one thing that I'd really like to do is to have maybe even during homecoming or some really energetic time as a match between our Division I team and our faculty.
Oh, wow.
And I think that would be really interesting, and maybe that's something we could put up there on a stage.
Be interesting to see if the faculty match that challenge.
Absolutely.
Amanda, talk about your role as academic coach. Of course, it's a fun part of a college career. Maybe someone who began an academic team 3rd or 4th grade. They start very young, I know, in their schooling, and it's something that they want to continue. It's certainly something they can at the University of Pikeville. But we talk about your role as instructor of developmental English as well, and you were part of a global initiative known as World Book Night. What is World Book Night?
The World Book Night organization is a nonprofit organization that's sponsored by booksellers and authors and publishers around the world. And this organization has created this event on April 23rd. They chose the date because it is Shakespeare's birthday.
Very good.
And so on April 23rd, this organization chooses book givers from an applicant pool to go out and sort of spread the joy of reading to their communities.
Sure.
And as a book giver, you are actually given 20 free copies of a specially printed book to take out and give away. So on April 23rd this year, tens of thousands of free books went into the communities all over the United States, and I got to be part of that, which was an amazing experience.
World Book Night. Book by itself is an old school term. With the changing of culture, we talked earlier about electronic books and Kindles and Nooks and those type of things. Do you ever see a day when the book might go away?
I certainly hope not. I certainly hope not. I've seen articles that talk about bookless libraries.
Sure.
Where everything's electronic, and we have a Kindle at home. So, I'm certainly not against electronics. It's what's inside that matters when we talk about reading. I don't personally care if you read on a Kindle or on a Nook or on your computer screen. It's the content that I want you to get. But as a personal preference, there's nothing quite like a room full of books and the feel of a book and even the smell of a book that I just love. And I think there's enough people in the world who appreciate that to keep them from ever completely disappearing. So I actually saw a cartoon on the internet the other day that talked about the future of books and
Yes.
how people always will complain and try to find something better. So the little cartoon said we need to find something better than these electronic books because they hurt our eyes and we keep dropping them. And so the evolution kept going until they found the perfect thing, and it was a regular book.
How about
So
that?
I kind of hope that it goes that way.
How about that? You were chosen as a book giver for World Book Night 2012, and you selected The Book Thief. Why did you choose that book?
As a book giver, I was given a list of 30 titles and told I can only choose one.
Wow.
So that was quite possibly the hardest decision I've made this year. The purpose of choosing a book for World Book Night is that the book giver should choose a book that means something to them, something that made a difference in their lives, and something that they really want to share. And to me, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak was that book. I read this book a couple of years ago when it was first released, and it touched me in so many ways, and it really can appeal to so many different audiences. It's the story of a little girl growing up in Germany during World War II, and she's struggling to reconcile all the things that are going on around her, and live this life with some foster parents who are also struggling to survive. And she develops this habit of stealing books, And as she learns to read and she goes around finding all these books, it becomes her solace in her comfort in this time of just horror. And there's a scene in the book where her whole community is gathered in a bomb shelter, and it's frantic, it's sad, everybody's panicked. And to calm them down, she begins to read to her community from a book she has brought with her.
Wow.
And the power of the words that she's reading, not necessarily even the words, but the power of that community and that action, calms everyone down and allows them to survive. And
Sure.
so to me, that message was the message I was trying to get across with my participation in the World Book Night, that sometimes, even in the hardest of times, a book can be a refuge and can actually bring people together.
Wow. The power of words compiled into the bindings of a book.
Absolutely.
World Book Night 2012. We'll look forward to that again 2013. To make World Book Night celebration bigger, you partnered with Sigma Tau Delta, the University of Pikeville's English Honor Society. Talk about that event.
Well, when we got together, and I knew I was going to be a book giver, and of course we wanted to do something even bigger. We had free books to give away, but we want to make this even bigger, so we decided to have a celebration of reading. And we had this little informal gathering in the Pikeville City Park, and we invited people to come and just talk about or read from their favorite books. I was getting to celebrate one of my favorite books, but I really wanted to celebrate other people's favorite books as well. So we had a reading where we had some snacks, and we had people come in, and people came, students came, fellow instructors came, alumna came, and we had such a huge collection of reading that day, and we had over 30 people in attendance, 9 readers from just a huge selection of work, and everybody that came put together a poster that was just a collection of their favorite books.
Right.
So it was just a really wonderful gathering where we could talk about what our favorite titles were, even share excerpts. It was really fun.
Sounds like it will be even bigger and better next year.
We hope so, yes.
Let's expand the number. The event was a success. Talk about the students' participation in the event. Did any arm twisting to get them involved?
Absolutely not. I have been so impressed with the students who came out to celebrate World Book Night. I think my favorite World Book Night story, I have to tell you, is when I was first telling my students about it, and I hadn't even told them the title that I was going to give away. I had a student interrupt me and say, "Miss Runyon, have you ever read a book called The Book Thief?" And I said, "Well, that happens to be the book that I'm going to give away." And this student says, "Well, that's my favorite book. I've read it 4 times." And he said, "Can I read from that at the celebration?" So I had this student, ask to participate. And when we got to the celebration, there were even people coming up and asking, "Hey, do you have enough readers? Do you have room for one more?" So, luckily we had the Kindle that day and could download some things for latecomers that came in to read. So they brought such an impressive selection, and I was just so floored, really, by the participation. There was no arm twisting at all.
I've been intrigued. I need a copy of The Book Thief.
I'll get you a copy.
The World Book Night, just one small piece of a larger goal that you have to create a literary community. What is a literary community, and how would it benefit the UPike campus and the community, Pikeville, Pike County, Eastern Kentucky?
Well, the term literary community can mean a lot of things. To me, it means an ongoing conversation. Like I said, I've been inspired by students who have come up to me through this World Book Night celebration and have started to talk about their own favorite books, or even more so by the students who've come up to me and said, I don't like to read.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll say, okay, maybe everybody doesn't. That's hard for me to believe, but maybe everybody doesn't. And then they'll say, well, except this one book. I read this one book this one time. I really loved it. Oh, and there was this book, and then maybe another book, and what we come to realize through these conversations is that, maybe they do like to read They just like to read what interests them,
Sure.
which is true for all of us.
Yes.
So a lot of our students have never been given opportunity to talk about what they like to read.
Right.
You know, they have plenty of opportunity to talk about what they're required to read and,
Sure.
and what they should read, but maybe not really what they like to read. So a literary community would do just that. It would create opportunities for people to come together to continue talking about books and encourage more people to read, encourage more people to think about what other people are reading, and not, often especially we English majors are quick to judge what other people are reading maybe, but the point for me is just to get people reading no
Right.
matter what it is, and to give them a platform where they can share that.
How do you go about creating a literary community, and what can others do to get involved?
Well, I certainly hope to have more events like the World Book Night Celebration of Reading. I'm planning a community book swap for the fall, which will be a really great opportunity for people to bring in books that they've read and maybe trade for somebody else's books, and that's a great way to share. I want to start a book club. If you can find enough interest, we could start a book club. We've talked about doing a blog for the UPike website about reading, and so this is something everybody can get involved in any way. The first thing you need to do is read a book.
Sure.
And then tell somebody about it.
Right.
Go out and tell your neighbor, tell your friend. Often when we read, it's a solo, it's a private activity. We read and we think about what we've read, and maybe we're inspired by what we've read, but we keep that to ourselves. And so my challenge is to go out and share that. Go
Really?
tell somebody.
People keep that to themselves?
They do.
Because when I read a really good book, I've got to share that with my friends. You have got to read this book.
And that's what
Others
we want.
don't do that?
Not everybody.
Okay.
I know I do, and people probably get tired of hearing about it, but that's what we want. Go out and
Right.
tell a friend, tell your students, tell your neighbors, tell the stranger in the grocery line. Just tell somebody, and maybe that will get somebody else interested, and then they'll tell somebody else.
Sure.
We have a habit at my house, or a tradition, I guess we should say, of I have 10-year-old twins and an 8-month-old baby, and we read together every night.
Right.
And we have each of us choose a book. We take turns choosing a book to read aloud, so that we can then stop and have conversations about it. And this has been such a huge thing for them. They'll go off and then you hear them talking to their friends. My children will talk to their friends, or they'll post something about the book we're talking about on Facebook,
Yes,
or something,
sure.
and it gets a conversation started. World Book Night has started a huge conversation.
Right.
I've had a colleague just finished the book last week, and he was very excited about it. And so then we also have students come up who have finished it, and there's a connection between the two, and they talk
Right.
about it. And so it's once you get the ball rolling, all you have to do is give people that platform, that opportunity, and it can be a really great thing for campus and the community at large.
Anything that brings faculty and students to discussion is
Absolutely.
a good thing. Amanda Runyon, she is instructor of developmental English and the academic team coach at the University of Pikeville, and part of World Book Night 2012. Are there plans for 2013?
Yes, I've already signed up to be one of the first to fill out an application for the World Book Night 2013.
We'll
So,
look forward to that. That will be in April
In April,
2013. Very good. We're going to make that a big deal,
good.
and we're gonna play that up big. Of course, book swap coming this fall. You're also looking to start a book club. I don't know, a huge book club, campus wide, community wide, and we'll look forward to that as well.
Yes, I'll definitely keep you posted.
And if someone's interested in the University of Pikeville academic team, how would they get in contact with you to talk about that? Maybe as a prospective student, maybe a high school, junior high student now, and they're part of an academic team, but they're starting to think and talk about their college choice, and they'd like to talk to you about that. How do they reach you?
They can get in touch with me. My email address is amandarunyon@upike.edu, or call the main college switchboard and ask for Amanda Runyon. You'll be connected. We would love to have anybody interested in the academic team come up and practice with us, come up and watch a tournament, maybe even come out this October when we host and see how things go.
if you promise you don't ask the third grade math questions.
We'll keep those out just for you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Amanda Runyon, instructor of developmental English, academic team coach. Obviously, reading is very important to you.
Yes, it is.
And it's something that could become a lost art. We hear about the schools throughout the Commonwealth and reading scores being down. Students that go on to high school or even college and don't know how to read. Is that something that's being addressed as it should be?
We could always do more. And I fully believe in that it starts at home. And, we need to be reading to our children and encouraging them to read. And I think part of the problem is, I hate to sound like a broken record, but so many kids want to sit with something else, with a video game, with a computer, or, and not read. And there's a lot of place for that stuff too. My children
Sure.
plays video games. They play on the computer, but we also need to take the time out to read. And if your children see you reading, then they get inspired to read, and they will. And many times I'll sit down with a book and purposely in front of my kids, because if that's something it's important enough for me to take time out to do, then it's important enough for them to take time out. So I feel like we could always do more, starting at home, and make reading fun. Reading can be really fun, and we shouldn't look at it as something that's boring or something that's tiresome. It's
Right.
It's exciting, and if we make that for the children, make it more exciting, then it's something that they'll carry on with them.
Something we talked about earlier, find topics that children are interested in and find books of those topics for them.
Absolutely, and there's books on everything that you can imagine. Take your children to the library. It's a wonderful tool, and we have one in every town. And take them to the library, get them online, and let them use those electronic devices to find a book. It's a great way to find one.
Absolutely. Amanda Runyon, instructor of developmental English and the academic team coach at the University of Pikeville. Thanks for being our guest. I look forward to World Book Night. I look forward to reading The Book Thief. And I look forward to following the academic team next year.
Well, thank you so much.
We'll have some academic team updates next year on Where the 99 Lead. Thank you for
Great.
being with us.
Thank you.
On behalf of Amanda Runyon, instructor of developmental English and the academic team coach at the University of Pikeville, and behalf of the University of Pikeville, you've been tuned to Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce.